You can love your kids, believe in your values, and still feel like the real boss in your house is a rectangle. This thing, our phones. Oh, hey, there's me and Bill. Phones, tablets, gaming systems, TVs, laptops. You say turn it off. They say, hey, just one more minute, Dad. And suddenly you're into a negotiation you never even meant to start. Or you lay down a hard rule. It turns into World War III. Everyone storms off, and you think, man, I hate who I become around this stuff. Hi, I'm Dan Hayden, and this is the Positive Legacy Podcast for Christian Fathers. This week is episode 36, titled When Screens Run the House, Rewriting the Tech Loop. In episode 33, we named the difference between just surviving your week and actually shaping what it feels like in your home. Hopefully, you listened to that episode and you wrote some "this is who we are" statements. In episode 34, we looked under your rules and found the values hiding there. And we tied those values to tiny practices your kids can actually feel. And then, of course, last week, we took that into sibling fights and practiced a kid-friendly version of repair so that your kids can learn to own their part with each other. This week, we're taking those same tools, loops, values, tiny practices, and applying them to one of the most saboteur-heavy spaces in our families: screens and screen time. I want to do three things with you, as always, this week. First, show you the loop, show you that tech loop that's probably running quietly in your house already. Second, I want to help you design a simple, value-based tech rhythm that doesn't depend on you having a perfect mood every night. And lastly, I'm going to invite you into a 30-day experiment that can start to change the way your family experiences screens and how we experience each other. Hopefully, you know where I'm going from here because you've heard me talking about it a lot lately. The loop: trigger, reaction, fallout, distance, reset, and repeat. Technology battles follow that same pattern. Here's a version I hear all the time when I'm coaching dads. See if any of this feels familiar to you. Trigger: you notice your kid has been on a screen way too long. You look up at the clock or you walk into the room and they're still there, hunched over the device. You react. You lead with frustration or anxiety. Hey, how long have you been on that thing? Hey, I need you to turn that off now. Look, I told you an hour ago. Does that sound familiar? Your tone is sharp, maybe louder than you even want it to be. Or you go sarcastic. Hey, glad to see you remember that we still exist. Then of course, there's fallout. Your kid argues, whines, pleads, or just shuts down. Hey, but I'm in the middle of a game. I don't have anything else to do. This is boring. You're the only parent who cares this much. My friends' parents don't care. The energy in the room spikes, and not in a good way. That is followed by distance. You either clamp down, say stuff like, that's it, I'm taking this thing away for a week, or you just give in. Either way, somebody stomps off, the emotional gap widens, maybe they retreat deeper into their room, and you retreat even into your own phone or your TV at the time. Of course, that's followed by reset. Life just moves on. Dinner, homework, bedtime. No one really talks about what happened. You just tell yourself, tomorrow I'm going to handle it better. Or you say, yeah, whatever. This is just parenting in the year of our Lord, 2026. Repeat. Tomorrow night, the exact same thing happens. Underneath that battle is usually fear and shame on both sides. Your hypervigilant saboteur is whispering, if I don't get this under control, they're going to become addicted. And your judge is saying, you're failing as a spiritual leader and you're letting screen discipline your kid. And of course, your avoider just wants to not deal with it at all because every time you do, it just blows up in your face. You know, from your child's side, their saboteurs are lighting up too. Their pleasers saying, hey, if I get off now, my friends are going to get mad. Their judge, I can't ever get it right with my parents. And of course, their victim, no matter what I do, they're just going to be unhappy. Same loop over and over. And tech slowly goes from something we use to something that we orbit around. So how do we rewrite that? Let's go back to values. Underneath your frustration about screens, what are you really after here? Usually it's a mix of things like presence. You want your kids to actually be with you at meals and in the car, not just physically in the same room. Maybe it's rest. You want their brains and bodies to have space to be bored, to play, and to sleep. Maybe formation is underneath that. You don't want their character and worldview shaped only by algorithms. It's totally understandable. Maybe it's connection. You want real conversations, not just parallel scrolling. Those are good and godly desires. That's your sage and your spirit thinking there. The mistake we make is trying to enforce those values with ad hoc rules in the hottest moment of the day instead of just designing rhythms when everyone's calmer. So here's a different approach. Instead of one big vague rule of less screen time, I want you to think in terms of a simple tech rhythm that expresses your values in three specific ways: when screens are on, when screens are off, and how you use screens as the dad. Let's walk through each, and then we'll build your 30-day experiment. First up, when screens are on. Every family has different realities here. Schoolwork is online. Sports schedules are in apps. Some kids connect with friends or games over group texts. That's just how they communicate these days. I'm not going to tell you to throw everything in the trash and just move to a cabin, right? Instead, you want to ask, if presence and connection are values for us, what times of day are we okay with screens being on? And what times of day do we want faces instead of phones? You might decide for this particular season, after homework is done, you get 1 hour screen time before dinner. Or on Wednesdays, you can use screens from 4 to 6, but not after 8. Those details, look, those are up to you and your wife. And they're going to change over time as your kids age. They're going to change while they're in school. They're going to change during the summertime when they're not in school. But here's the mental shift. You're choosing those windows on purpose from values, not reacting in anger. You're also being clear ahead of time, and it's not in the heat of the moment. Second, let's talk about when screens are off. This is where your culture shows up the most. If one of your "this is who we are" statements is, in our family, we choose connection at the table, then one obvious tech rhythm might be, at meals, phones go in the basket. I can tell you in our house, everybody knows. As soon as we sit at the dinner table, our phones go on do not disturb, and they are clear in the other room and out of arm's reach. If another one of your values is faith is woven into ordinary life, you might decide the first 10 minutes of the morning are tech free for everyone. We say good morning, we get ready, and maybe pray or share something we're thankful for before anybody checks the screen. I can tell you for me, I try to take 10 to 20 minutes every single morning before I even touch or think about my phone. Here's another one. If your value is we don't have to be perfect, but we do take responsibility, you might say at 8:30, devices go to the kitchen to charge, not in our bedrooms. Again, same thing in our house. Phones are not in the bedrooms. Screens turn off an hour before bedtime. Let their brains relax. Let their brains focus on anything but what's on their screen. Again, this isn't about legalism. It's about choosing a few small screens off moments that preach your values. Third, and this is a big one, your own screen use. If I'm honest, this is where a lot of our tech loops fall apart as dads. We say no phones at the table, but here we are answering our text messages because it's definitely more important than dinner, right? We say, hey, get off your device as we walk through the house scrolling on our phones. We want our kids to be present, but we live half present ourselves. I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying it as someone else who also struggles. Our kids are watching our rhythms more than our rules. So part of your tech rhythm has to be, what am I willing to do differently with my phone? It might be as simple as, when I walk in the door from work, I won't have my phone in my hand for the first 15 minutes. Or, like I said, at dinner, my phone lives on the counter, not in my pocket. Those tiny shifts communicate, I'm in this with you. We're not just controlling you, we're changing how we all relate to these devices. Let me give you a concrete framework that you can literally borrow. One dad I coached came up with 3 simple lines for his family. At meals, phones rest so people can connect. After 8:30, devices sleep in the kitchen. And when dad gets home, his phone stays in his pocket for 15 minutes. That was it. Nothing fancy, no complex tracking system. They talked through it with their kids and they tied one to a value. We value connection. We value rest. We value presence. And then they committed to try it for 30 days. Did everyone follow it perfectly? No, of course not. Did they argue sometimes? Yeah, you betcha. But something really did begin to shift. The kids started reminding each other, hey, it's 8:30, time to plug in. And his wife started to notice, hey, you're actually more here when you walk in the door. He felt less like screen cop and more like a leader practicing a shared rhythm. That's what I want for you. So here's your 30-day tech rhythm experiment. Step 1, clarify 1 or 2 values you care about most in this space. Presence, rest, responsibility, faith, connection. Pick no more than 2 for now. Because when you try to focus on everything, you're going to focus on nothing. So just pick 2. Step 2, with those values in mind, choose one time of day or setting where you want screens off as a family. For example, dinner, first 10 minutes of the morning, or at 8:30 p.m. Again, with values in mind, maybe choose one small way you will change your own phone use. And then optionally, one reasonable screens on window that you can name ahead of time for your kids so it doesn't just feel random. Step 3, talk about it together when everyone is calm. You might say something like, hey, I realize I've been reacting a lot to screens out of frustration. Underneath that, I care about us being present with each other. So for the next 30 days, I want us to try something together. At dinner, phones are going to rest so people can connect. That includes me. After 8:30, devices are going to sleep in the kitchen, not in our bedrooms. I'm not saying this is going to go perfectly, but I want us to see what it feels like to live this way for a month. As a side note, my kids argued, yeah, but dad, I use it as an alarm clock. Cool. Let's go to Target. I'll get you an alarm clock. It uses batteries. It's awesome. And we did. And guess what? We're good. No issues. And remember, hey, on all of this, you may get pushback and that's okay. Stay calm, name the value again. Look, this isn't about me controlling you. It's about us protecting connection and rest. Step 4, expect your saboteurs to show up, expect theirs to show up as well, and plan for repair. You're going to have nights when you're tired and you reach for your phone at the table. Your kids are going to have nights where they melt down at 8:30. Instead of letting that throw the whole experiment out, just use it. If you break your own rhythm, repair. Hey, I said my phone would stay off the table. That one was on me. I'm sorry. I want to be here with you. If they blow up at plug-in time, you can hold the boundary and still repair later. Hey, I know tonight was rough. I get that it's hard to stop sometimes. And I get it. It's hard to stop mid-game. I still care about your sleep and your heart. So tomorrow we'll try again. Every time you do that, you're reinforcing your values and loosening the old loop's grip. Last, step 5. After 30 days, do a debrief. Ask yourself, how did I feel with this rhythm? What did I notice in my kids? Did any of my evenings feel even just 10% better? Is there anything we want to keep, tweak, or add? You can even ask your kids, hey, what did you hate the most about this? What, if anything, did you like? You might be surprised by their answers. Look, I've had my own teenage daughters tell me, I actually slept better. Or dinner was kind of nice when everyone wasn't on their phones. One of my daughters gave up her phone for Lent, or at least gave up social media. And guess what? She's like, Dad, I didn't think I could live without it. That was pretty easy. So trust me, it can be done. All right. Hey, I want to land this with a clear invitation and a very robust call to action. If anything in this episode has you thinking, ooh, screens have more control over our family climate than I want to admit. Hey, you're not alone. This is one of the number one pain points I hear from Christian fathers. You do not have to figure this out in isolation. Inside my Positive Legacy Academy, we are running this kind of experiment together all the time around tech, around marriage, around mornings, around conflict. We look honestly at the loops in our home, we connect them to our values, and we design small, doable rhythms that fit your real life. We don't stay in theory. We talk about the exact moment when your son says, "Hey, just one more time. I just got to do one more thing." And your body tenses. We walk through what your saboteurs are saying, what your sage already knows, and how to train your brain and how to respond in a way that honors your values without burning the relationship. If you're listening to this and thinking, "Hey, I want a different story for my family around screens, but I know I'll slide back into old patterns on my own." Look, I'd love to invite you to a complimentary coaching call. There's a link in the show notes where you can grab time on my calendar that works for you. You don't have to keep dreading every conversation about screens. You can become the kind of dad whose presence, not whose anger, sets the tone for how your family uses technology. As you look at this week, what's one small piece of tech rhythm you're willing to try for the next 30 days? And what value do you want it to protect? As always, and until next time, stay rooted in grace, stay steady in mind and spirit, and keep building your positive legacy one small intentional moment at a time. See you again next week.